Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast presented to you by Music Never Stopped. Today is Monday, April 7th, and today's guest we have Jon Stickley.
What are you doing, podcast for lot?
Yeah.
Come be on a lot podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah, All Jammed Up.
This dude's doing a podcast. If you want to be on some podcast, come give an interview.
Hell yeah. Good morning, fools. Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast. I'm your host, Clint Dotson, and we got another fun podcast for you today. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. But before we get too into anything today, I want to give a quick shout out to Pulsar Vaporizers. They're out of Asheville, North Carolina. They glass maker. They make like cartridges and some other things as well. And they just hit me up on Instagram today. They didn't ask for me to shout them out or anything. They just hit me up on Instagram, said they liked the podcast and to check out the website, and whatever I wanted they would send to me. And they sent me this pretty fucking cool dab rig here. Yeah, pretty awesome. Came with a little carb cap thing and the dab pen. They also sent me a bowl and a vaporizer cartridge as well, and like some rolling pads, all Grateful Dead themed. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to those guys. I mean, look at this thing. Let's look at it one more time. Pretty fucking cool. Even the little holes down there, little Grateful Dead bolts. So this thing's fucking dope. Shouts out to those guys. I appreciate it. Anyhow, though, back to the podcast. Today we have Jon Stickley. Stuff like that never gets old for me, man. Jon is somebody that I've been paying attention to his music for a while. He's a huge name, man, and it's always cool to me that these guys want to come to my house and talk to me. So it was a really fun interview. I really think you guys are going to enjoy it a lot. So let's get right into it. Jon Stickley.
Hey, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Alrighty, guys, we are here with Asheville legend, Jon Stickley.
I've been here a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think time can make a legend, like, either way.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's it never gets like not cool to me to have people that want to come to my house and talk to me and do this. And you're somebody that I really like admire as far as music goes. So I appreciate you coming on and stoked to have you here.
Thanks for the invite. Glad to be here.
And before Lisa gets mad at me, Jon brought some pernicious beers, so that's why we're drinking them. It was a gift. I can't say no. I guess let's just get right into it. So you're from Asheville. You've always lived here?
No, I'm from Durham, North Carolina originally.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been here since around 2006.
2006. And were you an adult then? How old are you now?
I was an adult. I'm 43.
Okay.
So I'm pretty old. I mean, relatively to a lot of things. But also very young.
I was gonna say you don't look 43. And even in our short conversation before the interview, you don't seem 43.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
And you brought a 12-pack of beer.
You know, it's been, like I said, it's been kind of a long day, so it was time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great. It feels good.
So I did some research before the interview, and it said that you picked up a guitar when you were 12. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I had probably noodled with my dad quite a bit before that, but that was when I got my first electric guitar for Christmas, and really just kind of became obsessed with it.
Yeah, that seems late for someone of like your ability on the guitar. It seems like kind of a late start to where you are now.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to say how it works, but up to that point, I'd kind of noodled around with. Mainly played like instruments and sang in church choir and stuff like that. And then I got into like listening to Nirvana, and all those albums came out. You know, I guess I was in like 5th or 6th grade or something when I heard Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
And Chili Peppers Under the Bridge came out. And
so what, you born like 81?
I was 82.
82,
yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that era, you know, I was at that age where I started like really being aware of what was happening, and I heard those songs on the radio, like going to soccer practice or wherever, and that's when I was just like, oh man, I'm so into this. I at least got to get an electric guitar and try. So yeah, my dad showed me like 3 or 4 chords, and I remember just sitting in school like practicing an A chord, D chord, and E chord, just sitting there in math class, and I was like, I'm going to go play those chords when I get home.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time I really, became super interested in probably anything. It's the first time I thought about it more than just when I was doing it.
Yeah.
It was my age and everything too. So, and then from then I ended up playing drums in a band. The neighborhood kids where I lived, we all like wanted to be in bands and stuff. So we started making little bands right away. So it wasn't until many years after that I heard bluegrass and flat picking and stuff like that. And that was like when I also decided, okay, flat picking guitar is something that I want to sit around and practice all day. And that was also a very new experience for me because I never really liked practicing.
And how old were you at that point?
I was probably 19 or 20 by then.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so music was just fun for me up to that point, really.
And you were just in like 90s rock cover band, like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Red Hot Chili, that kind of stuff?
So in like late middle school, high school, my neighborhood friends and I started a band, and it was really influenced by like the indie rock of the Chapel Hill 90s scene. So bands like Archers of Loaf, Polvo, Spatula, Superchunk, Fugazi, kind of like heavy indie, very creative, intricate, like indie rock was like that. That's the first real band I was in, and I played drums in that band.
So you weren't even playing guitar in the band,
right? Not in a band.
Okay.
No, I was just playing electric guitar mainly for fun, and took some lessons in high school as well, like a little bit of classical and fingerstyle. But just really for fun. And then it wasn't until through my brother, Jeff, is 2 years younger. He was on the lacrosse team with Andy Thorn, who is the banjo player for Leftover Salmon now.
Okay, I knew the name. I was like, where is that?
So, and we were all taken from the same guitar teacher. So our guitar teacher kind of put us together and said, look, we've got this student, Andy's learning banjo, Jeff's learning guitar. Why don't you guys put together a little trio and go play some open mic nights? And I was like, banjo? And he was like, yeah. So we all met, and that's when I learned about David Grisman and Sam Bush. And Andy was like, I've got a mandolin. He's like, you should just learn to play mandolin, then we can have guitar, mandolin, and banjo. And so that was around like senior year of high school. And that's when we started our first little bluegrass band. And it was really hearing like David Grisman, the Grisman Quintet, that made me want to go in more of an acoustic, like jamgrass, jazzgrass, newgrass direction with just everything I was doing. So I eventually got into a band in college. They already had a mandolin player. So I was like, well, I can be your lead guitar player. And that was when I really started focusing on bluegrass guitar. So that was probably around age 20, 21.
And you were in college at that point?
Yep.
So were you in college and you were like, I can do this for a living? Or you were still like, I'm going to go try to get a 9 to 5?
I was in school to be a park ranger at NC State.
Okay.
And so I just played in bars and frat parties and stuff with the bluegrass band I was in. And I was blown away because we actually got paid for gigs. I had never been paid for a gig up to that point in any of the other bands I'd been in. And so I was just like, this is awesome. I want to do this all through college at least. And then it was towards the end, I went to Alaska to be a assistant state park ranger for a summer. And then the following summer, I went to Durango, Colorado with Andy to join a band called Broke Mountain. And that band, we just had our 20th anniversary shows.
Okay, so you guys are still playing in that band?
It was a band for a couple of years, and then we all went and did different things. But everyone has now become known. Like, it's got Travis Book from the infamous String Dusters, Anders from Green Sky, Andy from Salmon, and then Robin Davis and myself. And
Damn,
so
some heavy hitters there.
no one knew who we were back then,
Uh-huh.
but now everyone's come to know the different
Yeah.
members, and we get back together and do shows. So
Gotcha. Did you
It's
guys just
great.
play one pretty recently?
we did a few over the past few years. We did the most recent was Strings and Soul
Okay.
down in Mexico, and then we did some good festivals this past year. We did Rocky Grass, Rooster Walk. And then we've been doing, for the second year in a row, we did a 2-night run at Cervantes in Denver.
Denver. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's been fun to have that project going again. But like I said, that was like my, second bluegrass band, like right out of college. And it was really just for fun.
Is Travis Book okay? Didn't he have like a bad fall or something?
He did. He wrecked his road bike.
Oh.
And he's doing great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get him on, and then I saw that happen, and I was like, I'm gonna leave him alone for a little
Yeah, he laid low for a minute, but he came back. He bounced back pretty fast,
Okay.
like I figured he probably would.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to college, you're going to school for park ranger. What kind of classes does that entail?
Well, NC State has a program for basically, it's called a Parks and Rec degree. So there were people doing like.
I had sports and recreation management, so kind of similar.
Yeah,
that's why
cool.
I'm
So there was
curious.
like municipal, like, how to run a YMCA, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then I was studying like natural resource management parks, and it was basically trying to figure out how to get people to interact with the environment in the safest, healthiest way possible.
Yeah.
So there was like natural resource management aspect to it, outdoor leadership things, it was facilities management, stuff like
Yeah.
that. There was all sorts of fun stuff. And like I said, I was an assistant park ranger and for the Alaska State Parks, and also, worked at some of the parks like Jordan Lake State Park near Durham, and a lot of experiential education.
Yeah.
It was great, a lot of outdoor time, and everyone else in the program was super chill and cool for the most part. So it was just it was a nice way to go through college, and as you would expect, it wasn't the hardest thing in the world. So I also focused on music a lot,
Yeah.
and I think that was good too.
Yeah, like I said, I was sports recreation management, so easiest way to get a degree.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at everything else, and I was like, dude, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah. So you still get to go be in the outdoors a lot. You do fishing, hiking, like you still kind of do a lot of that stuff.
Not really.
No. Life gets in the way.
Yeah. Gosh, I will again someday soon.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I can't wait for the weather to get nice again, and get on some more hikes, and the nice weather comes around, and you're just always busy with some shit. You know?
Yeah. It's really been since my kids are 2 and 4, so we've just been like in total kid world for a while. But now they're just getting old enough. I'm starting to think like, oh, like it's time to go hiking. It's time to go camping. Like, let's do this. So I do think there is some of that in the near future for sure.
How is that? I want to go back to that because it's going to tie into something. Let's stick to what we're talking about now. So what's like kind of your inspiration with the trio? Like your music, it isn't just bluegrass. I feel like it can't really be put into a box. So like, what kind of inspired you to form that group like it is?
Okay, so I love bluegrass, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was starting to get a little tired after being completely obsessed with it for 10 years or so. The material, I was just kind of getting a little tired of the material, because you can only play the David Grisman song so many times, and everything else was starting to just feel a little limiting to me as far as the types of songs that we could jam on, because bluegrass is kind of like an old-timey traditional style, so it's very rooted in like kind of simplicity, and that's why it's beautiful, it's communal, and it's easy to connect with. But I got to a point where I wanted to kind of play what I had learned in bluegrass, flat picking, the tone, the timing, the speed, the kind of the virtuosic stuff that I was just like so impressed by from bluegrass, over some musical ideas that kind of reached back into those years from like high school in the past, where I was listening to more like technical indie rock and like kind of heavier stuff and faster stuff and harder or slower. So I had never really written a lot of music either. So I kind of started the trio just as a fun, project to play around town.
And it's always been you three, Lindsay Pruitt, and what's the drummer's name?
Right now it's Hunter, but we've had a handful of drummers.
Okay,
yes.
but it's always been Lindsay Pruitt?
It's always been Lindsay Pruitt, after the first year or so of just, other people doing it. Some too, but she's been in the band the longest for sure. It's been like 12 years or something.
Okay.
So basically I needed material for the trio, and I was like, well, what kind of songs do I want to write? And so I started thinking about different grooves and rhythms and chord progressions and things that really resonated with me, and a lot of it ended up sounding a little more atypical, and so that was kind of where the trio's music comes from.
Okay.
And same with like, I don't really write lyrics. So
we're gonna touch on that.
I've never really written much, with words. And so I had the instrumentals just kind of started coming, and then we're like, oh, well, this lineup would do pretty well with like a fun version of Jerusalem Ridge. Like, let's take an old fiddle tune and twist it around a little bit and do that. And so kind of material just started flowing, and it felt natural, so we just ran with it.
Yeah. So you started the trio 12 years ago when you were around 30?
Yeah.
What was
30.
going on like post-college to 30? Were you solo gigging in a band? Like, what was happening then?
So I was pretty much a sideman in different bands leading up till, even during the starting of the trio. So after college, went to Colorado, played in Broke Mountain for 2 years. Then I joined a band called the Biscuit Burners here in Asheville. And that brought me to Asheville around 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I played with them for a year. We ended up splitting up, and the lead singer, Shannon Whitworth, lives down in Brevard. She went solo after that, and I ended up playing with her for 3 years or something like that, or more. But we did like duo shows, and I backed her up on guitar and played some mandolin. Yes, I was the mandolin player in the Biscuit Burners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I quit playing with Shannon and joined Town Mountain. They're like a local bluegrass band.
Okay.
And I played upright bass with them, and that was probably, 2009 or 10.
You can play anything with strings pretty much?
To some extent.
Yeah,
yes.
and drums. So like, what can't you play?
Yeah, I'll try anything.
Yeah.
But so two years on bass with Town Mountain, and during the final year of Town Mountain was when I started doing stuff under my own name as Jon Stickley Band, Stickley Bluegrass Band or whatever. So over that year is when we started the experiment with drums, and it was so much fun to play to different grooves and beats. I missed that being in bluegrass. Like the one thing was that in a bluegrass band, you are the drum set, right? The whole band kind of fills that role of the rhythm, but to have a drummer holding down all of that, and so then just Lindsay and myself being able to kind of ride on top of that was just a new feeling that I didn't realize I missed as much as I did until we did it. And so it's also the time that I left Town Mountain and kind of needed something to focus on. So that's when I was like, okay, let's start booking the trio. Let's go open for some of our friends' bands and see how it goes.
Was it difficult at all at first with the drums, or was it kind of just like an easy transition for you guys?
It's still difficult.
Yeah.
It's a challenging project. So, leading the band on acoustic guitar, where I'm, theoretically the quietest instrument of the group.
Yeah.
and well, literally the quietest instrument of the group. It's been something we've had to kind of figure out, and so we're still figuring it out. But one of the first big advancements we made was plugging in and synthesizing bass. So Lindsay and I both can switch channels on our pedal board and become a bass, which gives us low end, which fills in the space and makes it great. So
Gotcha.
when we started doing that, it was like, oh man, here's a whole new level of things we can do and just like opportunities we can experiment with.
Do you have a specific show with the trio, the current group now, that's kind of like, is a show that stuck with you that you're like, damn, we crushed?
Some unforgettable ones are, we did the Spirit Lake late night stage at Halloween for a few years in a row.
When?
It's probably been about 5 or 6 years.
Okay. I was like, I don't remember that, but I've been going for the past 4 years, I think.
Yeah,
So.
we were there last year on the main stage.
Yeah. Was that a Sunday?
Sunday before
Yep.
Cheese, and then we played with Cheese. It was so great.
Yeah.
But I missed the Spirit Lake because I really because we would start at like 2:30 and end at 4.
I don't like what they're doing with it now. Like,
Yeah, me neither.
it's like me and my girlfriend were talking because the lineup came out yesterday, and they're doing it again this year with like the 360 and Cynthia stage, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just got like a weird, dark, sexual energy over there. Like, I'm not really into all that.
You know what's funny is my brother-in-law is actually part of that. He's like just left IBM as an electrical engineer and got hired by that crew to like help them with their pyrotechnics. He's also a DJ. He's really good. But he's like, I'm like, you're playing Halloween? He's like, yeah, we're playing at like the pyrotechnic stage, like back in the woods. I was like, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, we call it the fire stage. Right? It's like
Yeah.
dark energy
Well,
over there.
that whole scene is so different to me. I'm just like, what do you guys do?
Yeah.
They still have raves? Like,
It's like a bunch of girls in like lingerie, and everyone's all sweaty.
Yeah.
I want to be over there.
okay, cool. So our friend Paul Levine, who helps book that and books, a lot of stuff down there, his dream was to bring, when we go play at Spirit of the Swanee Music Park, for years, our thing was to jam all night in the campground. And that's part of what drew me to the scene and to bluegrass is like, I like playing music in the campground all night long with my friends. And like, not like raging, like really picking.
Yeah.
Like we would play music and it would get better and better and better till the end. And it would get better and better and better till the sun is just way too bright and we had to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so Paul would always come, hang, and he's like, I gotta bring this to Hula somehow. And so that's what he did with that Spirit Lake stage when he was having us and Grass is Dead and some of the more acoustic bands.
I want to see those guys so bad.
Oh, they're the best.
They're playing here pretty soon, but it's a night of a show I've already bought a ticket to, and I'm just like, I think this Dog's in a Pile plays it.
Oh, yeah. So Grass is Dead, they're all like some of our oldest friends from Florida. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed it. They played, because I guess was telling you, I lived in St. Pete, and every time they'd come to St. Pete, I was like doing something that day, and like that's like on my bucket list to see those guys.
They're a good vibe,
Yeah.
really good vibe. The leader, Billy Gilmore, I know him from Florida. Lindsay's from Jacksonville, so he's known Lindsay like her whole life. And he actually introduced Lindsay and myself.
Oh, okay.
We were on a mutual gig with him back in the day.
Gotcha.
And then our friend Drew from here in Asheville also plays with him. Drew, and you might have seen Drew Matlich. He's like really involved in the local bluegrass scene and organizes a lot of the jams and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that name doesn't ring a bell to me, but I've been meeting so many people. Like, it's so hard to remember
So
these.
you're pretty much new to town, right?
Yeah, and like we really didn't start. I mean, we were still settling in like November when we got here, and then like December, everything going on with Christmas. Like we really didn't start getting out a lot till January.
Cool.
And then like I met Alex Bazemore, and he's been introducing me to everybody.
Great.
He was the first guest in the podcast because I like saw one of his shows, and I was like, dude, I gotta have you first.
Awesome.
Like, he's the man. He actually told me a funny story about you guys fishing one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went fishing together.
Can you tell me about that? Because he like mentioned in passing, and I was like, don't tell me because I'm going to ask him when I interview him.
Yeah. So there's a festival. It's called Bass and Grass. It's almost like a little retreat.
Yeah.
And we were playing it and teaching workshops. And one of the big things there is they have these little boats little trolling motor boats you can ride around the lake and just fish. And I had just met him, and we went out on one of those boats together, and just had a blast riding around fishing. And he actually helped me get a couple hooks out of the fish because they were like, I don't know, man, they were really squirming and they were really in there. And he's got some skills.
Yeah.
So that was just one of those unforgettable days that, and so I was like, so what's your deal? He's like, well, I'm living down in Savannah. I've got a couple like weekly gigs I do, but I was like, I'm actually thinking about moving up to Asheville. And I was like, dude, you got to move up. Like, bring it on. Like, if I can help you, I will. But of course, he came up here and just built his own whole thing, and he's like in a million bands. He's doing great, so I'm really proud of him.
He plays he plays All Fall Down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's been playing that lately, dude. And like, it's not Billy, but it's pretty fucking good, man. It's pretty fucking good. They played on Sunday, and like I texted him like middle of the show, and I was like, "You guys are on fire today, dude." He texted me right now. He was like, "You're killing me, dude."
Yeah, no, I love that kid, man. He's great.
The man, yeah. I'm excited for hopefully what's coming next for him.
Hope so.
For him,
yeah, he's got all the potential in the world, that's for sure, and a good head on his shoulders too.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
So you guys just played Spring Reunion, and that's one that's kind of on my bucket list too, because I go to Halloween every year, love Halloween. Only big festival I'll go to, but there's like 5,000 people that are going there compared to the 20 at Halloween?
Yeah, I think 5 would be good for them, you know how it is, it's tough these days. So I think but it is like a 5. I think they'd love to see it at 7.
Yeah.
But it's typically like a 5,000 person festival, and it feels good. It's chill. It doesn't feel empty by any means, but
what stages do you guys play on, Amp?
So they put a dance tent up in the big field.
Okay.
And then the main stage is the amphitheater.
Okay.
And then they use the cabin stage. Yeah, it's like across. If you're on the amphitheater stage, it's like across over there. So it might not really be used for hula.
Yeah.
And then the music hall too.
Gotcha.
So and it kind of changes every year too, depending. But it's maintained the spirit of these festivals. This has been going on for 30 years probably at this point. It used to be called Springfest and Magfest, and there was some changeover, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, but now it's kind of back to the original way that those festivals were. And it's always been my favorite place to go, man.
Yeah.
Spirit of the Swanee is our favorite place to go play. And the spring and fall, Spring Reunion and Roots Revival are just old school. We still pick in the campsites when we can, and
is it an older crowd there for the most part?
I would say so, but it's not a lot of like the Ragers.
Yeah,
it's like older, younger. There's a ton of kids there.
I think that I've said this on the podcast before, but like there's kind of a shift in energy right now with that kind of music. I think led by I think it all stems from Billy, but you got like the Mountain Grass Unit kids, the Shadowgrass kids, like Luke Black, Kaiser George, like these guys kind of leading like a younger generation into bluegrass, and I do think there will be like you'll start seeing more and more people at those kind of festivals.
Yeah. This one is like Donna the Buffalo has been like the mainstay band, and it's still got kind of that energy of like that crowd.
Yeah,
it's a chill. It's kind of an Americana crowd.
Nice. Yeah, I need to get there one year.
But yeah, I'm loving the bluegrass explosion, man. It's just so freaking cool.
Yeah, I'm learning like so much from because like I got into Billy Strings probably like 2019, 2020. And like the deeper I've dove into him, the more I'm learning about like Doc Watson and like I'm learning about Larry Sparks and Tony Rice and all these guys that like I never knew who they were.
Thank you for solidifying our hopes. That's the progression that's going to happen for at least some people, you know?
Yeah, and then like going back to like I interviewed those Mountain Grass Unit guys, and they're like 20, 21 at like Berkeley choosing to play jam grass. Like they're talented enough to do whatever they want to do, and they're like, yeah, we see what Billy's doing, we want to try to do that. Yeah,
and they're doing it.
Yeah, they're killing it. So you kind of, I guess we could say, filled in for Billy last year.
I filled in for Billy, yes.
But I heard before, and tell me if this story was true or not, you kind of fucked your finger up before you even got playing. Did that happen?
Yeah.
So what happened exactly?
So, dude. All right. So it started raining on Wednesday.
Festival started
here in Asheville.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Asheville still. We were flying out Thursday to play Renewal. It started raining Wednesday, and the hurricane Helene was supposed to hit on Friday.
Okay.
This is the week of the hurricane.
Renewal was the week of the hurricane?
Renewal was the week of the hurricane.
No shit.
Yes.
I thought it was the summer for some reason.
Renewal was, what is it, first week of October or something, I think? Anyway, it was whenever the hurricane hit. So they said the hurricane was coming, right? They said it was supposed to hit Friday morning. You know, my wife's disabled. She had a stroke. She's doing great, but she's technically disabled. Doesn't have great vision. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I was like, okay, it's been pouring rain already. It's Wednesday. I'm supposed to leave tomorrow to play the Billy Strings Festival, which is like one of our biggest gigs of the year.
Yeah. With your family, or you're going by yourself?
By myself with the band.
Okay.
And then the hurricane's supposed to hit on Friday, the day that we play the festival. And I was like, okay, they're just calling for a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And I talked to my wife. I'm like, think it's gonna be cool, like for me to go and y'all will be okay? And she's like, yeah, like, you know, it's rained here before. It rains here all the time.
Everybody else's thought too. Yeah.
Tons of hurricanes have come through. Like, I'm really not worried. And I was like, okay, well, you know, we've got my family, my parents are here, and we've got all the support in place just in case. And so the tension was just kind of building and building up to the point of me going to the airport, because of just my stress level and the rain not stopping, you know, and it was just kind of like
back of your head, like
back of my head was saying like, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
And so like I was supposed to be leaving for the airport, and I realized that we didn't have any creamy peanut butter because my son eats a lot of creamy peanut butter, and I was getting ready to leave, right? And so I was just like,
hell of a dad.
the pressure built, and I just slammed the cabinet closed where there was no peanut butter, right? And the cabinet door just came right back and jammed my middle finger. And I looked at it, and I was like, you can see.
I was about to say, I can see it a little bit, yeah.
I broke my finger.
You got some fucking diesel cabinets, man.
So it jammed my middle finger, and my middle finger was bent, in a very unnatural, freaky way. And this is 10 minutes before I'm supposed to go to the airport. And so I said, honey, I think I just broke my finger. And she's like, go to CVS right now and get a splint, wrap it up, take some ibuprofen, and go to the airport. And I was like, okay. And at that point, I was just on autopilot, and we did it, and we left. And then I made my way to the festival while simultaneously the hurricane was hitting, and we lost cell phone service, and I'm seeing videos come in. I can't get in touch with anyone, and it was insane. I was getting some updates come through every now and then that everything was okay.
Yeah.
So I at least had that. And we were in Colorado. The hurricane was hitting, so there was no way to like fly back.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I guess we go play the festival. And so we went, and, you know, it's obviously a kind of crazy story, long story, but we were about to walk on stage to play our trio set, and that's when the stage manager rushed up and just put a cell phone in my ear. He was like, Billy's manager. And he's like, Billy's on a plane. Allie's water broke. The band wants you backstage as soon as you're done with your set. There'll be a golf cart. And I'm like, okay. So my band didn't even know about it. I just walked on stage and played the trio set, and I was like, it ended up, and while I had the broken finger, the finger was not good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It's still not good.
Yeah.
But I've been to the doctor, and I had it splinted for a month, and he's like, it'll never be straight, but it's fine. It's not really giving me any problems. It's a whole thing. But so I did it like the day after breaking it. I played the trio set, knowing I was going to go fill in for Billy Strings at his own festival. at his first set of his own festival in Colorado, while the hurricane was hitting the house.
Jeez.
And so,
did you crush it?
I felt okay. So the trio set rocked.
Yeah.
It was a really cool set. There were so many emotions happening. I was just, all I could focus on was the music, because if I thought about anything else, I was like, okay, I just can't think about anything else, just the music, because I can't process it. So that was great. And then I went straight to backstage and straight into rehearsal with the guys in the trailer. And I threw out a couple covers that I knew that Billy did.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can do this handful of songs. And they were like, great. And so they played mostly songs I knew. And then the Mountain Grass guys came up and did some Billy Strings covers that they play. And they had to show me one song, which I didn't know, which was that awesome mandolin instrumental. It's a Chris Henry tune that they play. It's so freaking cool. And that was the one, but it was, so that was the only thing I really had to learn. And then I'll tell you what, man, I was talking to Billy's guitar tech, Toby, and he's like, Billy said, you can plug into his rig. I'm like, okay, that probably makes it easy, right? And he's like, it definitely makes it easier for me.
Yeah.
And the sound guy, like, if you just use his stuff, I was like, well, probably would it be easier if I use his guitar too? And he's like, absolutely. You should.
Doesn't he have a crazy rig too?
He has got a crazy rig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a video on Luke Black's Instagram where like he has a pedal that just turns off all the sound, so he just plays off feel. And to me, like a non-musician, that's like the craziest shit I've ever heard.
So the next day, Luke got a tutorial. I had a very quick tutorial.
That was the video I must have seen.
Yeah, so Luke filled in the next night, and he got to spend some time with Toby, really like learning how to use it. He showed me how to use it, and I was like, bro, my head is like, I can't. I'm just gonna have to play. And what was really cool is that Billy's guitar tech was able to do some of the controls like from backstage. So he was like doing things on the pedal board while I was playing. And he would even get in my ears. He'd be like, hey, when this next line drops, he's like, hit this pedal and it'll sound really sick. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I did it, and it's like, wow, it was awesome.
So cool.
So it was a team effort. And between Billy's guitar, his rig, his guitar tech really kind of holding my hand on it, and his ear mix, and then just the vibe of his position on stage, honestly, it was such a like comfortable feeling that I found it to be pretty easy.
Okay. I mean,
I was like not nervous. I think just the craziness of the whole situation too just made it. I couldn't really
have the bandwidth to be nervous.
I didn't have the bandwidth to think about like where I was like, on stage, but I was able to enjoy it, and I was just like, this is totally awesome. Like the lights are beautiful. I can hear the bandmates. Like there was Jared Walker did that an intro to that song. I can't remember. It's like West Georgia Rose or West Oklahoma Rose or something.
West Georgia Rose kind of sounds.
It's something like that. And he did this long intro to it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard anybody play ever. It was like there was like an octave effect on it. And yeah, so it was just a really, really enjoyable, awesome experience.
Yeah. So this is a Billy Strings podcast. That's kind of what I think is like, as well as a dead Dead Kid kind of what got me into it. And then I heard Billy Strings and like got hooked and did a deep dive into all things jam really. Tell us like about like your relationship with Billy Strings, like what that dude is like.
Okay, so I first started seeing his videos and stuff online, whenever he first started touring with Don Julin. And it was, I don't know, I want to guess
2016, 2017?
I want to say earlier.
Earlier than that?
I want to say earlier, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
And I knew that we had a lot of mutual friends because a lot of my friends come from Michigan, like Lindsay Lou and Green Sky Bluegrass and that crew. And people from Michigan had come at that point to be some of my favorite people ever. I was like, all my friends from Michigan rule. I love Michigan and Wisconsin. So I was like, y'all know Billy? And they're like, oh yeah, we've known Billy for years, man. He's been busking up there, like up north. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I got to meet this kid. Like, I've never heard anybody play like that. Like, supercharged Doc Watson from Michigan, and then having a bunch of tattoos and stuff, and being as young as he was. I was just like, that's unique. That's special. Yeah. That's very cool. And I got to meet this kid. So I can't remember. I think it was Red Wing Roots Festival. I can't remember. There's pictures of it and there's a video of us playing together, but we just met backstage and sat down and picked a tune right away. I was like, dude, because like, let's pick. And it's like, awesome. And ever since then, I've just loved the hell out of him. And so we would see each other at festivals. My wife was touring with us at the time, and his girlfriend, Allie, his now wife, was touring with him some. And we all became friends, and they started coming to play Asheville, and every time they came, they would stay at our house, and we'd put them up, and we'd always jam on the porch and all that stuff, and I don't know. I was just like, this kid's awesome, man. I've never met anyone with that level of fire and talent and everything, so it's just someone you want to be around.
Given everything that's happened to Asheville in the past few months and happened to you personally as well, and then Billy comes and does this crazy 6-night run, and the last night he asked you to play with him, like how special was that for you?
That was really special for me.
Yeah. And for you to go out there and fucking crush it too. Like,
thanks.
Like, not to say that I'm not all about all technical abilities, but like you were keeping up with them. Like it was no like, you guys are going crazy together.
I appreciate that. Like I said about Renewal, playing with Billy's crew and with Billy's team and with Billy's band, it's not hard. It's like, because it's so good and their vibe is so chill, and it's the type of music that I love the most. Every time I play with them, it's just a really nice experience. Yeah. And I don't have that same kind of like, oh, I have to go up there and like prove myself. It's like, bro, we've done this on our porch for the past 10 years, or wherever. And it's just nice to be around them. So getting to play with them is just totally awesome. But for me, on another level, having had that experience during Helene, the trauma of all that, mixed with the amazing experience that I had at Renewal, and then to get through all of that and have our town get through all of that, and then for Billy to come and bring so much love and energy to our town at a time that we needed it so much. Like, I wasn't even here for most of it. I got back to the town the night before the last show. So I had just come in from Denver, and that afternoon I was just like, man, I'll shoot Billy a text and just see if he wants to do some jamming tonight.
Yeah. Just
because I wanted to see him, and he was like, he's like, text my tour manager, let's do it. And I was like, all right, sweet. And so that was, to do that with him that night, was such a full circle moment that kind of wrapped up that whole thing and said, okay, look, like, we can call it good. Like, we're going to get through this. We can move past this flood and everything. And it was very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that start a second set when you came out, right?
No, I think I was actually out. I think it was like tour. It was like.
It was second set, maybe a few
No,
songs.
it was
in?
like a few songs into the first set.
Really, was it?
Yes.
I had smoked a lot of weed that night, so.
Same. It was like 4 songs into the first set, and that's when we did that. Like we did like a 5-song stretch or something. Then they wrapped up the set, and the second set was so awesome.
Yeah.
And then I came back up for Y'all Come, the encore at the end.
The last 30 minutes of that set was like I almost cried during the beginning of the end. Like I was just like, this is over now.
Oh my God, it was such a great show.
Yeah.
I love what they're doing, man. And every time I see them, they're better. And every new direction they try to go in works great, in my opinion. So, and they just keep rocking the classic bluegrass, which is just so awesome.
That All Fall Down song, like I found that again from Billy Strings, and then I go to listen to it by John Hartford, and I'm like, how does he even like think of turning this song into the song that he plays? Like it's just like he's like on a different planet, it seems like, with some of the things he's doing.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, man, I think in Billy's mind, he's just covering the song.
Yeah.
And he's covering it. He can only do it in his style. You know, Billy just does things his way. So his interpretation of that song just sounds like that.
Yeah.
I was listening to that song the other day, and a couple other Hartford songs, like Up on the Hill, and there's so many of them that are almost like bluegrass rap, where it's just like, you know how All Fall Down is.
Yeah.
Or the picket coming in the clover. You know, it's like he was so ahead of his time, Hartford.
Yeah.
You know, so of course he resonates with people like Billy and myself.
I want to talk about your relationship with another musician, but before we skip over this, we briefly talked about it. Your songs don't typically have lyrics, but they always have titles, and they're kind of weird. Darth Raider, Death by Rainbow. That's not like a dark song or anything. Where do you come up with this?
Okay, well, Darth Radar was that was like an experiment. I was just sitting on my laptop recording random stuff, and I wanted to do like a. It was not long after I heard like Skrillex for the first time,
Okay.
I think. And so I was just thinking about like a space themed like surf rock, like with some of those weird sounding dubstep elements. You know, it's probably around back in 2012 or when I wrote it, and it was totally just for fun. And then, like I said, I needed material, so when we started the trio, I was like, well, I made this song like Darth Radar a while back. Like, y'all want to just try to play it, And we did, and I was like, oh, well, that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And so we started playing that. And then, everything I write is kind of based on something or relevant to a feeling I'm having or something I've just been through.
Okay.
So every song is, for the most part, related to something, and most of them invoke a certain feeling as well, and it's a feeling that I feel like kind of translates to the audience. One thing I really like about playing instrumental music is like everyone can kind of make it their own. As you're playing the song, it's like whoever's listening to it might be feeling this way or that way, and it will invoke a feeling, and then they can relate that feeling to what they're going through in their life.
Okay.
Where it's like, it makes it a little more personal, whereas I'm not really defining like the story or what's happening.
It's giving the listener like a chance to kind of create their own feeling rather than you telling them a story.
That's kind of how I look at it. Yeah. And I think it's one of my favorite parts. And I think it's one of people's favorite parts about our band too.
Yeah. Yeah, what about the Death by Rainbow one? We just skipped over that.
Well, I'll say I didn't even name that. That's one of Lindsay Pruitt's songs.
Okay.
And so it was just about when she went hiking to Rainbow Falls and she almost died.
Okay.
Yeah, she saw like a copperhead, and then she slipped on the rocks, and she said it was just one of the most tumultuous days of her life, but it was also very beautiful, and so she called it Death by Rainbow.
Alex told me I need to get her on the podcast, so
Oh, she definitely should.
I'll get her on.
She's really fun to talk to. And yeah, she's, her dad was in a bluegrass band and a Grateful Dead cover band back in the day.
Okay.
So she grew up around a lot of cool people. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure my listeners are like, dude, get at least another girl. I've only had one girl on the 20-some episodes.
You got to get Pruitt on.
All right.
And some more girls in general.
So another one of your good friends, I guess, in the music industry is Sam Grisman, right?
Yeah.
How cool is that got to be for you? Like, if David Grisman was someone that you kind of grew up on and gave you inspiration, and now you're...
Yeah, I mean, so David Grisman is, I would say, is the seminal most influential musician in my life.
Okay.
Because the music of the first David Grisman Quintet album is what I heard in probably junior year in high school. And it's what I had heard banjo music, Flat and Scruggs, bluegrass, stuff like that, but something about the sound of that and the material and the way it's played was like a total game changer for me and made me want to try to go in a direction like that. And then Tony Rice is the guitar player on there, and he is my favorite guitar player ever, and he's like my total hero. So, without David Grisman, I would have never found out about Tony Rice. Mm-hmm. And so knowing Sam is amazing.
Yeah.
And being friends with Sam is awesome because Sam's the man.
Yeah.
But honestly, we haven't hung out all that much. We've just been around festivals, played music together. But he just came to play this benefit for my son. And we got to bro down a little bit. And I was trying not to be that guy that just asked question after question about things related to his dad.
That's how I just felt talking about Billy.
Dude, I can totally be that guy because I was like, I want to talk about so many aspects of your dad's career.
Was he here?
No, he wasn't here, but Sam came directly from hanging out with him for the 80th birthday thing. And they shot a video together for the Team Callum event.
Okay, because I swear I saw your wife post a video.
Yeah, they sent us that video from Seattle.
And I saw that, and I was like, damn, they're about to bring David Grisman out tomorrow. I think I was telling people that the other day.
I'm glad you did, because that was one of the few rumors that I heard were going to, of people that were going to be at the benefit.
Because your wife just followed me, last week.
Cool.
Wednesday or Thursday. So I followed her back, and then I saw her story, and there's David Grisman playing, and it looked like a living room or something.
I think it was his living room.
Oh, so I was like, Sam and David must be staying with John, and they're going to come out and play someday.
No, that would have been totally amazing. I had so many. I was like, that guy Rick Montgomery that played guitar on that one David Grisman album and that came out in 1981. He's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I was like, what's his deal? I can't find him on Instagram. He's my favorite guitar player. Hanging with Sam on Sunday was a total dream. And we clicked, and we're gonna do some more things together in the future for sure. We talked about doing some duo shows and things like that, which would be absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Cool. And then the last thing that I kind of want to talk about, and we briefly talked about in the beginning, 2 kids, 2 and 4. How has that kind of changed your approach to being a musician now that you're a father?
It has completely changed the way I have to approach the time spent playing music because it has taken up so much of my time. Mm-hmm. And that's been a huge adjustment for me.
Yeah.
So, once you start realizing that, the guitar is probably just going to hang on the wall, maybe for the rest of the week, because, I'm looking at the things I've got going, the plates spinning in my life, and I'm just going from thing to thing. And so it was an adjustment for me that I had to get through the feelings of being upset about it and being sad about it, and then realizing that, okay, no, it's just a shift. We're cool.
Yeah.
The time that I get to spend with my instrument, the time that I get to spend playing shows, traveling to play shows, it means so much more to me now than it ever did. Mm-hmm. That it's honestly enriched my experience, even though it involves some taking away of what I thought, what I had before. But I've also gained so much like just perspective and life and fulfillment and love, like from these kids and my family, that I feel like my musical output has become a lot better and a lot more full. And I don't know, it's just like everything I play now, there's a lot more behind it than there was before. Even if I wasn't practicing all week, it's like I know my limits and I've learned that over the years. It's like, look, you can only play the best that you can play at the time. Yeah. And if, I would love to, I like to warm up for 2 hours before shows.
Damn, I bet it's a long time.
That's a long time.
Okay.
But it's not sitting there running scales. It's just hanging out with my instrument, like getting in the zone, slowly, just playing some beautiful sounding, just trying to make nice sounds. And then by the end of that period, I'm like, at the end of 2 hours, you're like, okay, like I feel really good. I feel connected. I'm like ready to do this. Sometimes there's no time before the show. So what I've realized over the years is like, okay, I didn't have that time. All I can do is the best I can do right now, and I don't need to try to do more than that, because the best I can do right now is enough.
Okay.
And then you warm into it, and you're right back where you were. But that's something I've learned from having kids, and because they just take up so much of your time.
Yeah. And you have a son, Callum, is that how you say it?
Yes, Callum, yep.
And there was just a benefit for him the other day. What can we do to like help support that benefit?
Well,
I know there's a Venmo, and you don't want to plug the Venmo, but
yeah, there's a my personal Venmo, because we kind of this is our first time doing this, really doing like a public fundraiser.
Yeah.
So we linked my Venmo and PayPal to his trust account, which we use to pay for therapy and stuff like that. And then the benefit was great. Like we raised a bunch of money, and we also threw a really amazing gathering for the community here in Asheville. So given that the energy, the positivity, everything that came from that was just such a beautiful thing, we'll be doing at least one more next year.
Okay.
So we're thinking it might become an annual thing at this point. I'd love that. And I think it could really be like a hub and a gathering point, especially like in the springtime after the winter, where we can get together and highlight especially kids with disabilities. So I want like all of the kids with disabilities in Asheville, whatever it may be, to be invited to that and be able to come for free. So that's just something where they can be seen, they can see and be seen. It's like when you become part of the disability community, it's just one of these feelings like, oh my God, all of a sudden we're all alone. Like we don't know any other kids with disabilities really. Like we didn't know any. And it wasn't necessarily the easiest thing to accept. Yep. You got to go through that whole process yourself. Like, you're like, oh my gosh. But then you meet another parent with whose child has the same diagnosis, and you meet this beautiful child, and they connect and become friends. So it's like anything we can do to help that community connect more and feel more a part of just the greater community.
Yeah.
I think it's not only good for the kids and the families, but it's also good for the community to see, because it's like, I don't know, this was just a beautiful thing, because it was so close to our hearts. We raised a bunch of money, and if we can bring some more people in and maybe team up with some other fundraisers too, to just help the community in that aspect, we definitely want to keep it going. So yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
And thanks for spreading the rumor that David Grisman was going to be there.
I got some ticket sales for you.
I also heard that there was a rumor amongst the Billy crew that he might be showing up.
Really?
I heard that as well, yeah.
I didn't hear that one.
So
those guys will believe anything.
If it contributed to our good turnout, I'll take it, because we had a great turnout. yeah.
Hell yeah. Is the Venmo still active? Is there a link to that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Send
Yeah.
that to me. I'll put it in like the description of,
Okay.
this video.
Okay, cool.
Podcast.
Yeah, and we had a silent auction that ended last night, and it had three of the prizes were 2 guest list spots for sold out Billy String shows. So there were 6 sold out Billy Strings tickets on there. And that also came with like a merch bundle and a signed poster. And they all went for like a good bit.
Yeah, there was a Halloween pass too.
There was a Halloween pass. Yep. So everyone was like so cool and just like totally down to give to that, and it was awesome. It was successful, but it brought so many people together for such a good cause. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you were able to get something like that happening.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, that's all my questions. Is there anything that you want to plug before we get you out of here?
Plug. Just
any
check
dates
out.
coming out?
Yeah, whether it's specific dates or not, just check out jonstickley.com. That'll be where you can see anything trio related. Follow me on Instagram and socials, because that's where we announce all our shows.
And that's all in the description of this podcast. Too.
Yep. So the trio's out there playing. I'm doing a fair amount of duo shows with Larry Keel.
I saw that.
And so we've recorded an EP that we're going to release later this summer, and we'll be doing dates together. Sticks and Thorns with Andy Thorne out in Colorado, and then playing with some things with Travis Book from the Dusters, and then of course keeping out for Broke Mountain. So I am very happy to be involved in a lot of different projects right now.
When are we going to get you and Alex together?
Dude, I'm down.
Okay.
I'm down anytime.
Sounds good to me, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on, John, and we'll be keeping an eye out for you.
Thanks, Clint. Enjoyed it.
You just got jammed.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Jon Stickley. Some pretty cool stories there. Breaking your finger and then going to shred at Renewal, replacing Billy Strings. I mean, there's very many people that could do it as well as John did it, but that's why he's a man. So, thank you guys for listening. Great episode today. We have another great episode on Thursday. Salem Offa, he wrote the book, Gratefully Tattooed. He's a tattoo artist outside of in San Francisco. Toured the Dead for a little bit, kind of at the end of their run with Jerry. And he just has some awesome stories. What got him into tattooing? He's currently doing a mural on Haight-Ashbury. So it's a really sick interview. Something cool for me too. I'm got a lot of tattoos too. So it was cool to kind of cross that subculture tattoo and Grateful Dead. So I'm stoked for you guys to hear that one. And I hope you all have a great week. We will see you again Thursday. And remember, wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. See you guys.
Come along, have a drink with me. We can talk about the world and how the world is turned so slow. Day and night I found cars they drive and planes they fly. I look into the sun and the sky, you're so bright. It's you that I have found. Oh, and I know there's not much longer now. Or if the world